The courtroom was silent. So silent, you could hear the faint rustle of papers as the judge adjusted his glasses. At the defense table, Amara Cole sat frozen. Her fingers trembled slightly against the polished wood. This was it. One more sentence, and she would lose a $200 million case. Everything she had built, her reputation, her career, her name, all of it about to collapse. Across the room, her opponent smirked. He knew he had already won. But what no one in that courtroom knew was that just hours earlier, a janitor had left 3 words on her desk. 3 simple words that were about to change everything.
Amara Cole wasn't just a lawyer. She was a name people feared in courtrooms. A top-tier corporate attorney, known for one thing: she never lost. From billion-dollar settlements to high-profile corporate battles, Amara had built a reputation that most lawyers could only dream of. Luxury apartments, private drivers, exclusive clients who trusted her with everything. Because when Amara Cole stepped into a courtroom, winning wasn't a possibility, it was an expectation. But this case was different. A $200 million lawsuit against one of the most powerful corporations in the country. A company with endless resources, endless influence, and a legal team just as ruthless as she was. For the first time in her career, Amara wasn't in control. The media was everywhere, headlines questioning her, analysts predicting her first defeat. Even her own client had started to lose confidence. Every move she made was being watched, every mistake magnified. And deep down, for the first time in years, Amara felt something she had almost forgotten. Pressure. Real pressure. Because this wasn't just another case anymore. This was her reputation, her legacy, her entire career standing on the edge. And one wrong move could make it all disappear.
The cracks had started showing days ago. At first, they were small, barely noticeable, but now they were impossible to ignore. Amara's evidence, once solid, was falling apart under scrutiny. Key documents were being challenged, timelines didn't align perfectly, and the one witness she had trusted the most was beginning to crumble under cross-examination. "Are you absolutely certain about your statement?" The opposing lawyer's voice was calm, controlled, but every question he asked felt like a trap, and one by one, her witness walked right into them. Hesitation, confusion, contradictions. Amara stood there, watching it happen in real time, unable to stop it. Across the courtroom, her opponent didn't even try to hide his confidence. He moved with precision, every argument sharp, every objection perfectly timed. He wasn't just defending the case, he was dismantling hers, piece by piece. Amara stepped forward to present her argument, but for the first time, her words didn't carry the same weight. The judge listened, expression unreadable, unmoved.
At one point, he even glanced at the clock. That alone said everything. And behind her, she could feel it. Her client shifting in his seat, restless, uncertain, doubt creeping in. The kind of doubt that spreads fast and destroys trust even faster. Amara clenched her jaw slightly, trying to stay composed, trying to stay in control. But deep down, she could feel it slipping. The case, the courtroom, the narrative, everything was slowly moving out of her hands, and no matter how hard she tried to hold it together, everything was slipping out of her control.
That night, her office was the only one still lit. The city outside had gone quiet, but inside, chaos. Files were scattered across her desk, contracts, reports, handwritten notes, all of it spread out like pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit. Amara stood there, staring at it all, searching, hoping for something she might have missed, anything. But the more she looked, the clearer it became. There was nothing left. No hidden angle, no last-minute argument, no miracle evidence. Just the truth she had been trying to avoid all day. She was going to lose. Slowly, she sank into her chair, her eyes fixed on the same documents that once gave her confidence. Now they felt empty, useless.
And for the first time in years, silence filled her mind. No strategy, no next move, just doubt. Her gaze drifted to the glass window beside her. Her reflection stared back, but it didn't look like the woman who never lost. It looked tired, vulnerable. For a moment, memories flooded in. Long nights studying law, her first win in court, the moment people started saying her name with respect. She had built everything from nothing, every victory, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. And now, it was all standing on the edge of collapse. One loss, that's all it would take to turn admiration into doubt, respect into whispers, confidence into questions. Her grip tightened slightly on the desk because she finally understood the truth she couldn't ignore anymore. Tomorrow, she wouldn't just lose a case, she would lose everything.
The office was nearly empty. Most of the lights had already been turned off. Only a faint glow remained in the hallway outside her cabin. Amara was still there, sitting in silence, lost in her thoughts. That's when she heard it, the soft sound of a mop dragging across the floor. A janitor, moving slowly, quietly, doing his routine work. For a brief moment, he paused near her office door. He glanced inside, noticed the scattered files, the untouched coffee, the exhaustion on her face. "You should get some rest," he said gently. Amara didn't even look up. "I don't have that luxury tonight." The janitor nodded slightly, said nothing more, and continued walking. Just another invisible presence in a world that never noticed people like him. The next morning, Amara walked back into her office, still carrying the weight of defeat. She dropped her bag on the desk and froze. There, right in the center of her files, was a small piece of paper. 3 words written neatly: "Follow the money." Her brows tightened slightly. Confusion, curiosity. Something shifted. She didn't know why, but suddenly, something felt different. Amara stared at those 3 words again. Follow the money. At first, it didn't make sense. She had already reviewed every financial record, every transaction, every report. It was nothing new to find. At least, that's what she thought. But something about it wouldn't leave her mind. So instead of preparing for court, she sat down, opened the files again, and started from the beginning, line by line, transaction by transaction. Hour after hour, she dug deeper, ignoring everything else, until suddenly she paused. A single entry, buried deep inside pages of financial records, small, almost invisible, a transaction that didn't match the pattern. Her eyes narrowed. She leaned closer, checked the date, then cross-checked the contract, and that's when she saw it. A clause, hidden in plain sight, carefully worded, easy to overlook, but powerful enough to change everything. The corporation had rerouted funds through a shell account, disguised as a routine transfer. But it wasn't routine. It was fraud. A perfectly crafted trail, designed to look clean. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. Amara's breathing slowed, her mind racing faster than ever. Pieces that didn't fit before were now locking into place.
the weak evidence, the confusion, the gaps in testimony, it all made sense. Because the truth had never been obvious. It had been hidden, buried under layers of deception, protected by complexity, and ignored by everyone, even her, until now. A slow smile appeared on her face. For the first time in days, she felt in control again, because the one thing everyone had overlooked, the one detail they thought didn't matter, had just become the most powerful evidence in the entire case.
A perfectly crafted trail, designed to look clean, but once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. Amara's breathing slowed, her mind racing faster than ever. Pieces that didn't fit before were now locking into place. The weak evidence, the confusion, the gaps in testimony, it all made sense. Because the truth had never been obvious. It had been hidden, buried under layers of deception, protected by complexity, and ignored by everyone, even her. Until now. A slow smile appeared on her face. For the first time in days, she felt in control again. Because the one thing everyone had overlooked, the one detail they thought didn't matter, had just become the most powerful evidence in the entire case. The courtroom buzzed with quiet anticipation. Everyone was ready for the inevitable, Amara Cole's final appearance, before her biggest defeat. But when she walked in, something was different. Her steps were steady, her expression calm, controlled. Across the room, her opponent noticed it instantly. A slight frown formed on his face. This wasn't the same woman from yesterday. Amara placed her files on the desk, took a breath, then looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor?" Her voice was firm, clear. "I'd like to present new evidence." A ripple moved through the courtroom. Her opponent straightened in his chair, alert now, careful. Amara continued, walking step by step through the financial records, explaining the transaction trail, the inconsistencies, the hidden clause buried deep within the contract. At first, there was silence, then confusion, then realization. She projected the documents onto the screen, highlighted the exact moment the funds were rerouted, the exact clause that made it possible, the exact pattern that exposed the fraud. And suddenly, everything changed. Her opponent's confidence disappeared. His objections came late, weak, unconvincing. For the first time, he was on the defensive. The judge leaned forward, eyes fixed on the evidence. The courtroom fell completely silent. You could feel it, the shift, the moment the entire case turned. What once looked like a guaranteed loss was now unraveling into something else entirely, something undeniable, something powerful. And as Amara finished her argument, there was no doubt left in the room. The truth had surfaced, and it had changed everything. The judge's decision came moments later, clear, final, in her favor. The courtroom erupted into murmurs, shock, disbelief, quiet admiration. Amara Cole had done it. She had turned the impossible into victory. But as everyone around her celebrated, her mind was somewhere else. Those 3 words. She gathered her files quickly, left the courtroom, and headed straight back to her office. Her eyes scanned the hallway, searching. The cleaning cart, the quiet footsteps, anything. But the hallway was empty. She walked to the front desk. "Where's the janitor from last night?" The receptionist frowned. "What janitor?" Amara's expression tightened. "There's no one scheduled for night shift." A strange silence followed. No records, no name, no trace. Amara stood still for a moment, then slowly looked down at the paper in her hand. A faint smile appeared, because now she understood. Sometimes the people we ignore see what we can't.